So, good evening. So we finished reading the lines. You should understand the significance of this instruction as like a diamond, the sun, and medicinal tree. Okay? Then the next line reads, this time of the 5 degenerations will then be transformed into the path to the fully awakened one. Alright? So I have briefly explained earlier that if you are able to adopt this positive attitude and do not give opportunity to self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping, and then because of such understanding, this time of the 5 degenerations can be transformed into the path of spiritual practice. Okay? So that means if you have the right way of thinking, right attitude, then even the most difficult situation, most unfortunate situation can be transformed into positive practices. As one of the teachings says, suffering is introduction to happiness. Suffering is introduction to happiness. And without suffering, it is not possible to practice renunciation. Without understanding of suffering upon oneself, there is no way you can understand the sufferings of others. And if you don't understand the sufferings of others, there is no way you can develop compassion and sense of responsibility. So suffering helps you reduce your arrogance. When you're a little bit successful, then you tend to get puffed up, You raise your head high and then you forget to practice, you don't remember death, Then you end up doing all kind of destructive, stupid things. So therefore, sometimes it is good to encounter some misfortune, some problem, some difficulty. That will help you think fresh. When you're healthy, happy, you don't remember doing study or you don't remember doing spiritual practice. But when you are bedridden, you are sick, then you say, I wish I'm not sick, then I can do some practice, I can study, So suffering, as I said yesterday, is a kind of challenge. And challenges are important to gain new perspective, to get new experiences. So in other words, what this text is saying, whatever be the situation, your way of looking at things is such that you should not get discouraged. Right? You should not get discouraged. Because by getting discouraged is not the solution. It's not the solution. And in fact, what we call as suffering is not a suffering from one perspective. Therefore, some of these great, teachers who practice mind training, when they hear the word suffering, they say, "What? What is suffering? I have no idea." Meaning, suffering is more or less your mental projection. Again, you can clearly see how much happiness you get, how much suffering you get is very much dependent or primarily dependent upon your mental perspective. Take the example of a picnic, you see. These days we are having very heavy, rain here, but not so sure about the imminent rain. Let us say some of us prepare for a picnic and go down somewhere. Then suddenly there is a downpour. It's raining heavily, we are completely drenched. But still what we'll do? We'll still try to dance in the rain, because our mind is ready. Still that picnic will become quite memorable because your mind is ready. You're accepting. When your mind is not ready, you may be surrounded by the best of friends, you have all the delicious food at your disposal, you play music, whatever, nothing is attractive, nothing is pleasant. When your mind is not happy, you cannot enjoy anything. You cannot enjoy anything, you see. So therefore, I sometimes use the word, your mind is the magician. It is your boss, it is your leader. Okay? So it's really, really important to see things from that perspective. You prepare your mind in such a way that in all these ups and downs, you don't get turbulent, you don't get agitated. You're able to maintain your stability. Okay? That's very, very important. In other words, sometimes I tell people, you make a promise. After receiving this teaching, you make a commitment, you make a promise. And what is that commitment? It's not reciting a mantra. The commitment is to say that whatever may come in my life, I will never make my mind unhappy. If you're able to do that, amazing. Much more than the mantras that you recite, Whatever may come in my life, I will not make my mind unhappy. It's not as easy as we say, but that is the desired direction. That's what we should be doing. And it is possible. If it is possible right from the beginning, if you have developed that wider perspective, and if you have this more understanding of the volatile, the suffering nature of everything, it is possible. It is possible. Because at the end of the day, the Buddhist teaching, we'll read later, the Buddhist teaching says, at the end of the day, everything is illusion. It's like an experience in a dream. So there's really nothing much to get too obsessed with something or to develop too much disliking with something else, you see. It's an illusion, as we say, like dream, as I had given you the example of dream, you see. If you get a dream of winning $1 billion, while you're dreaming, yes, you enjoy. It's so nice, I got 1 billion, You're enjoying because you're dreaming. But when you wake up, not a penny. But you will not feel sad. Why? Because you know what you experienced was dreaming. Just dream, you see. So like that, the things that we are experiencing now is another level of dreaming. So because we are dreaming, we experience pleasures, we experience suffering. But when you wake up, like a Buddha, then he will say, oh, these people unnecessarily getting obsessed with something, unnecessarily, suffering, unnecessarily crying, you see. Because that's why many people say, if people want that long-lasting peace and happiness, everybody will say, I want long-lasting peace and happiness. But if that is their goal, why people are not getting it enough? Because people don't know how to get it. People don't know how to get it. As Shantideva correctly said, that even though you want happiness, but because of ignorance, you destroy the causes of happiness as if they were your enemy. And even though you have this desire and wish to shun suffering, but you continue to chase suffering, continue to accumulate the causes of suffering, therefore you're bound to suffer. You see? So that's why, as I said earlier, the one very important teaching that the Buddha gave was wake up. Wake up, meaning wake up, don't sleep, don't pretend what you are not. Wake up and see the reality. Impermanence is reality, suffering is reality, interdependent origination is reality, shunyata, emptiness is reality. If you don't pretend, if you really try to see the reality as things are, then you will be able to gradually see everything like an illusion, like dew drops, you see? Okay? Then there's really nothing much to get too, obsessed, or there's nothing much, no reason to get too much hatred and rejection, When we don't understand that, then there are a group of people which we completely hate and want to, reject them. Then there's another group of people we really want to embrace them, without which you can't live. That kind of, emotional sensitivity comes into being, right? So it's really, really important to wake up. And the very epithet of the Buddha means the one who is fully awake. The one who is fully awake. The implication is when we say Buddha is somebody who is fully awake, it is also saying or implying that we are sleeping. Sleeping in ignorance. The two enemies that I already told you, self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping. And it's primarily this self-grasping which is called ignorance and which is the root cause of all problems and difficulties. So wake up, accept the reality. Death is reality, sickness is reality, meeting and parting is reality. When you understand all this reality, then right from the beginning, the way you will relate to everybody will be much refined, much better. Sometimes people who don't have this big, meaning behind these teachings, they say, oh, Buddhism is very pessimistic. It's only talking about suffering. No, Buddhism is not pessimistic, it is realistic. Buddhism never pretends. It talks about the whole reality, possibilities of happiness, existence of suffering, and the way to get rid of suffering and then get their long-lasting peace and happiness. It's telling you the truth so that you wake up, so that you will find a way to run away from suffering, from problems, from difficulties. Otherwise, forever you will get entrapped with these sufferings, with these problems, right? So therefore, it's really, really important to understand the meaning behind all these teachings. Impermanence, suffering, interdependent origination, emptiness. These are not invented by Buddha. They are in the nature of the things. It was only Buddha who has this capacity to see the things that is there out in the nature. Impermanence is there in everything out in the nature. Suffering is there in all sentient beings. Emptiness and interdependent origination is the nature of everything that is existent. But we ordinary people never make an attempt to understand this reality. So this law of nature, you call it impermanence, you call it interdependent origination, they are written deep down in the nature of the forest, nature of the trees, nature of the stones, nature of human beings. They are deep down, they are written there. So like a great scientist, he discovered these things. He did not invent. He discovered these things and said, look, this is there. This is the reality. You look, you see for yourself. And you are suffering because you don't understand this. Now if you understand this, you will be able to put an end to suffering, or at least minimize these sufferings. And with this understanding, you will be able to maintain much more closer harmony with the rest of the sentient beings. How? For example, if you are somebody who understands impermanence, let us say, impermanence, now in our case, death is also another form of impermanence. Now if you are somebody who has this genuine understanding of death, the inevitability of death to all of us, like in this gathering, we have like 30-40 people here. Okay? So the average age may be 25 or 20 if I give a big discount. 20 age group is 20. So if our average age is 20, let us say now, then how long? How long are we going to live? What is the remaining age that we are going to live? Maximum, again after giving discount, maximum 80. If we presume that we live 100 years, okay, 80. And it's 100% sure that after living 80 years, we are all gone. If everything goes well, and then in between there are too many upheavals, you can be dead tomorrow, day after tomorrow, things like that. So if you are somebody who has this proper understanding, then from that you will get a sense and importance, you will be able to see the importance of living harmoniously, using each and every moment, and to live harmoniously, happily and peacefully. I normally give this example which I read in a text, where it give a very good example of 3 criminals. Let us say there are 3 criminals who are caught, now they will be executed tonight at 10 p.m., let us say. That I read in a text, Buddhist text. 3 criminals who will be executed tonight at 10 p.m. So how many hours they have to live? 3-4 hours, right? They have only 3-4 hours to live together. So now they know clearly that they have only 3-4 hours to live together. After that they all will be executed. So how they should live now within these 3-4 hours? How should they live? Fighting? Or exploitation, corruption, trying to steal from each other? What they should be doing? They have only 3-4 hours to live. What they should be doing? The right thing is they should be consoling each other, being nice to each other, helping each other, consoling each other, right? Trying to be good to each other. They will never think about stealing, exploiting, and things like that, because now they clearly see the imminence of the death. It's clear to them. They have only 3-4 hours. So naturally they will be nicer to each other, more compassionate, more loving. They'll stop all these destructive things that we ordinarily do. Right? Clear? Clear? Instead of living like that, let us say if they try to kill each other, things like that, if we are witness to that, we will be shocked to death. How come these people? They have only 3-4 hours to live together. Still they are so mean to each other. Their heart must be made of stones or iron or something like that. You will be shocked. Some of you might cry even. How come? It's impossible. Right? This is the example that this great teacher gave. And it will always remain in my mind. Such a good example. Then he, having given this example, then he says, we are not different from these 3 criminals. They have 4 hours to live together. And how much time we have to live together? As I said, after giving a big discount, 80 years. If all goes well. So, like these 3 criminals, how should we be now living together? As you have already understood, we should be living harmoniously, not cheating each other, not, harming each other, not trying to kill each other, not steal from each other. Nice. Being nice. So you can see how, if you properly understand the meaning of this teaching, how powerful these teachings are. How these teachings bring harmony, how these teachings promote love, how these teachings promote affection. If I give you another example, an example which I have personally experienced, an example which I am sure all of you had experienced. One example is like when we fly to some other countries, fly in an aeroplane or check into a 5-star hotel, things like that. So when we check into a 5-star hotel, everybody looks a gentleman, gentlewoman, especially if you are checking in a little bit better hotel, then everybody looks a little bit dignified, I'm somebody with money and knowledge and things like that, So in the beginning, at the most, you'll say, hi, I'm somebody, kind of attitude, hi. Or in many cases, you even ignore that person. So you're somebody, he's somebody, she's somebody, everybody is somebody. Okay? You check into the hotel, which I have experienced. Now I'm telling you this story. So we check like that. So once we checked like that in a 5-star nice hotel in London. At 2 p.m. in the night, there was a big siren. I was on the 22nd floor. So all of us came down. On whichever floor you are, everybody came down on the outside the lobby. Many of hardly clothed, because they're so scared, everybody came down running. Right? Now you see the scene. With this siren, when we were all brought together, there was no need to have any formal introduction. You see? Normally we say, oh, can you introduce yourself? You see? Then no need introduction. Everybody looks like everybody know each other. Everybody talking. They're so nice, smiling. You see? So this shows when you lose everything, then the only thing that will help you is friendship. You see? I mean, look at this. People who are working, the laborers. Their wage is not much, and they carry the mud and bricks and so forth whole day. Still you will find them smiling the whole day. Because that's the way they can survive, you see. And then like when you fly in an aeroplane, when the flight is smooth, again everybody is a gentleman, gentlewoman, As and when the captain or the pilot makes an announcement saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, tie your belt, we are entering the turbulent zone." Then you tie your belt and see they are a little bit nervous. And then finally you enter the turbulent zone and the plane is like turbulent and shaking. Everybody starts looking at each other, That's the reality. So therefore in life, what is taught in Buddhism is don't pretend. Don't pretend that you are not going to die. Don't pretend that your fame and name will not go down. Don't pretend that your richness or wealth, whatever you have not go down. Everything will change. Everything is transient. Everything is subject to all this kind of laws of suffering, impermanence, upheaval, ups and downs, and things like that. So right from the beginning, if you have that understanding, then even if you become very rich, still you will be able to live with poor people, share whatever you have. Even if you become a great leader, still you will be thinking about poor people, helping them, not glorifying oneself, you see. And that's why like leaders like Mao Zedong, you see, because they don't have this kind of basic ethical values. When they were ordinary peasants, they said, "Oh, this is not fair, we must fight," He brought this peasant revolution. But when he got the power, he was completely drunk by the power. And he himself completely entered into a life of addiction, notoriety, and completely forgetting the needs of the poor people for which he is supposed to have fought. So that's the thing, you see. So one thing that is always necessary with you is this right mental perspective and some of these fundamental good human values. That will be the everlasting source of peace and happiness, whatever be your condition, whatever be your situation, whatever be ups and downs in your life. Okay? So that is more or less the meaning of transforming misfortune into the path. Whatever may come in my life, I will not make my mind unhappy. Because by becoming unhappy is not the solution. If your mind remains happy and stable, you will find the solution. If you let your mind controlled by unnecessary sensitivities, become sentimental and emotional and not being able to use your analytical power, then you will be tossed around. It's only when your mind is cool, then you will be able to find the solution, right? Okay? There is a story of a woman. One of her, I think nephew or niece or somebody died, and she was overwhelmed with sadness, and she, brought this dead body and came to Buddha. And when she came to Buddha, her whole body was complete, clothed and everything was completely soaked in water, drenched. And then the Buddha said, "What happened? All your clothes and everything is completely soaked." He said, "Oh, my nephew or niece, somebody died, and I was so sad that I really could not think about whether I was getting drenched or not." Then the Buddha said, "Okay, this is your nephew or niece, something, I don't remember exactly. Okay, but do you have your own children?" She said, 17. She said, 17 children. And then the Buddha said, "If all these people living in this region, if they were all your children, you will be happy?" He said, "Oh, then I will be overjoyed, I really want, I really wish they're all my children, I'll be so happy." Then the Buddha said, "Okay, in that case, can you imagine in this region, how many people die every day?" He said, "At least 4 or 5. So now you should see, you should think, the Buddha said, if they're all your children, then every day 4, 5 of your children are dying, you see. Will you be able to tolerate? Then she came back to her senses. She said, oh, yes, you are right. I understood the meaning of your teaching. Attachment is not good. So she learned the lesson. So it's like that. It's like that. When we have wealth, when we have friends, relatives, we think it's good. The more the merrier kind of attitude. But as Nagarjuna says, he gives the example of this king of Naga. The king of Naga is said to have, 5, 6 heads, kind of hoods, snake. If you see the picture of Nagarjuna, he's behind him there is this king of Naga with his many hoods, many heads. So he's supposed to have 5, 6 heads, okay? So Nagarjuna gives the example by saying that the more head the king of Naga has, the more he is susceptible to problems and difficulties. The ordinary snakes or serpents, they have only one head. So it doesn't look great or magnificent, but it's only one head, so it's more difficult to get hurt constantly. But whereas when you have 5, 6 heads, it looks grand. But today this head may be okay, but this head is hard. This head may be okay, this head is having headache, you see. So like that, if you pray for all these heads, you should also be ready to encounter all the problems from there. So those people who have a lot of wealth, a lot of friends, relatives, you're okay, my brother is not good. My brother is okay, sister is sick. Sister is okay, her children are sick. You see? So what I'm trying to say is to see that having a lot of wealth, relatives, friends as the source of long-lasting peace and happiness is misplaced trust. That's not the source. The source of peace and happiness has to come from within oneself by properly understanding the way things are. And once you understand the nature of the way things are, when the reality shows its true color, then you don't get shocked. You're able to maintain your calmness, you're able to maintain your stability. That's why knowledge is important. Understanding of reality is important. Next line, out of the 7 points, the first point is explaining the preliminaries as a basis for the practice. As a basis for the practice. That means if you want to do, a Buddhist practice properly, then you should first, prepare or practice the preliminaries properly. So therefore, Thangbong Ngundu Thalala, first train in the preliminaries. Ngundu Thalala. What are the preliminaries? Preliminary means you should think about the preciousness of human life. That's one preliminary practice. That human life is very difficult to obtain. And once you have obtained it, there is no certainty that it will live for a long life, long time. As I already explained, death can come any time. So therefore you should realize this important, precious human life and use it before it is too late. Okay? Aryadeva in his 400 verses says, whoever you are, when we say life or living, it's only a moment. If you don't know how to live in this very present moment, you're missing something big. Because life is a combination of many moments. If you're not happy now, next time happy, not so sure. Future is uncertain. So live in the moment and be happy right now. Enjoy and make your life meaningful each and every moment. And he says that people normally don't understand this. So therefore, there is actually very few people who understand themselves. They don't know themselves. Because when they think about living, they think about not today, but tomorrow, in the future. As and when you continue to step into the future, you continue to think in the same way. Living means future. Living means future. Future is uncertain. Unless you live now, you will never see the future probably. It's possible. So living happily, meaningfully, each and every moment is the meaning of living a proper life. Okay? So I don't want to go more detail into that. And then, although we have obtained this precious human life, but how long are you going to stay? Not very sure. I already discussed this. So think about impermanence, the transient nature. Meaning that as and when the purpose of understanding the impermanent transient nature is so that you don't postpone your spiritual practice. You do it right now. Don't postpone. Okay? Don't postpone. And then one day you will die. So when you die, don't think that's the end of the story. Your body may be, destroyed here, but the mind continues, carrying with it all the habits, imprints, positive, negative, that you have done in this life, that you have done in past many lives. So the third preliminary practice is think about cause-effect relationship. Cause-effect relationship. Whatever you do, whatever you have done in this life, don't think that it will be lost. I do some cheating, I do some destructive, negative activities, but nobody has seen it, so it's okay. Don't think like that. Cheating is not possible in the law of causality, law of karma. Okay? All right? So therefore, take that responsibility of doing something good. And normally I give the example of like living in imprint or getting habituated means like recording something on your mobile phone, okay, or on your tape recorder, recording something on your mobile phone. Record something on your mobile phone. Maybe you record two things. One, singing a nice melody, a song, record one nice song, okay? Then you record a prayer, nice chanting. Then you record somebody fighting, shouting, yelling, crying, Record these three things. Okay, having recorded that, you try to see in the mobile. Can you see what you have recorded? Can you see what you have recorded? Can you see what you have recorded on the ribbon or whatever? Now these days, even ribbon is not there, so I don't know how they record it. Earlier we have this cassettes, and on that we have just ribbons. Okay, so it's recorded on the ribbon. So whatever you have recorded, but after having recorded it, can you see? You can't see. You're not being able to see doesn't mean the recording is not there. It is recorded there. How will you know it? Next time when you put it in your tape recorder and play, then whatever you have recorded, it will come out. First song, then chanting, then fighting and crying. Right? So like that, we record all the positive and negative deeds. And in the future, when the right causes and conditions interact these recordings, then you experience pleasure, experience suffering, whatever, depending upon whatever you have recorded. Does it make some sense? Or if I give you another example, you record something in the day. Let us say record something when you are emotionally very high, emotionally highly charged, fighting with somebody, shouting, and then mentally really, really angry, Physically, verbally, mentally, you are into that fight. Now you are recording. All right? You may not believe you have recorded anything, but it is recorded. How can you prove it? It is very likely that tonight when you are sleeping, you might fight in the night again, remembering that fighting. You are not fighting, you are sleeping. But because you left such a strong imprint, you will fight again in the dream. You will remember, that means you are again fighting in the dream. So that is how the recording is played. So because of that fighting in the day which was unpleasant, so in the night also you get the dream and you get suffering, you get problem, unpleasant experience. Or in the day if you had this wonderful opportunity of seeing His Holiness the Dalai Lama, getting his blessing, and you are so happy physically, verbally, mentally. Once in a lifetime I now saw His Holiness and got his blessing. I am so happy, Again you are receiving a big impact. Your mind is prepared. Your mind is prepared. So therefore you are receptive, and you receive that blessing, you receive that impact. And as a result, it's very likely in the night also you again get the dream of meeting his soldiers again. Right? So it's like that. This is how you experience the result of the karma that you do. And then the fourth preliminary is reflecting on the shortcomings of the samsara. Shortcomings means limitations of the samsara. That means in this ordinary world where we are living, whether it's the wealth that you enjoy, whether it's the friends in whose company you live, they're all not reliable. Not reliable, not in the sense that they are bad and they have a motivation to cheat you. That may not be true in all the cases. But they are not reliable in the sense that in many cases they'll intentionally, the person will cheat you. Of course, then it's not reliable. But even in the case of those people who really love you, who are trustworthy, but still there's a limit that they can do, not beyond that. They cannot enter into your head and think for you and, make you happy and make you peaceful. Nobody can do that. When you are controlled by negative emotions, nobody outside can help you. So therefore, they are not reliable in that sense. Whatever marvels that you see in the world, ordinary things, whether it's your money, whether it's your wealth, your friend, they are good only for temporary usages. Even in the case of the best friend, best relatives, if they are really good, they may help you in doing good things. Then they are the best friend. But still, it is you who has to do that thinking, do that practice, right? So therefore, there is uncertainty. Uncertainty is the word. Uncertainty. What will come tomorrow? Uncertainty with your friends, relatives. The friend may change, relatives may change. Change because of different changing situations. Change because they might die. Change because they might move to another place. So they cannot be with you all the time. Impossible. I mean, look at this attendance, You are here, but you did not bring all your wealth. You did not bring all your friends and relatives. It's simply impossible. Wherever you go, you bring everything that you thought as the source of your peace and happiness. They cannot be with you. Meaning that at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it has to be you who has to look after yourself for that long-lasting peace and happiness. Right? So that is what this text is saying. So see the faults of this samsara. Faults of samsara means we have to die repeatedly. We have to take birth repeatedly. Okay? Then we have so many different types of sufferings that we have to encounter. Suffering of change, conditioned suffering, and suffering of not meeting those that you like to meet. Suffering of meeting those which you do not like to meet. Your enemies and so forth which you do not like to meet, they seem to be standing in the corner and waiting for you all the time. Right? And those your friends, dear friends, relatives which you want to meet, they are not there with you. Even if you make repeated, phone calls, they seem to be busy. They are not available. Things like that, you see. So there's the reality. There's the reality. So therefore, the real long-lasting happiness and peace has to be cultivated from within oneself. From within oneself. Next of the 7-point mind training is the actual practice training in the awakening mind. Changchup Jisem, bodhicitta. Awakening mind means bodhicitta, which means the mind, awakening mind or mind to enlightenment. Mind to enlightenment means bodhicitta is a mind which thinks how nice if all sentient beings are without. It is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. A mind which aspires to achieve Buddhahood. Mind to enlightenment, okay, which aspires to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. right? That's called bodhicitta. So as I already explained yesterday and day before yesterday, that the main theme of this text is cultivation of this mind, awakening mind, bodhicitta. And how many different types of bodhicitta are there? I already explained. 2. Which are they? Conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. And what is conventional bodhicitta? Conventional bodhicitta means bodhicitta, which is the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. And the second is ultimate bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta is it bodhicitta? Yes. Ultimate bodhicitta is not ultimate. Yeah, you're right. Yes means you're right. Ultimate bodhicitta is not bodhicitta, but it is the wisdom understanding emptiness. And it's called ultimate bodhicitta because that wisdom understanding emptiness, of course, is very important, factor for achieving Buddhahood. Okay, that way. So these two are the main topic of this teaching. Now under this second point of the 7-point mind training, we have two main categories. The first category is training in the conventional awakening mind. Conventional awakening mind means conventional bodhicitta. Right? So that is not so difficult for you to understand. So now in this training, so in this training, the training of the conventional bodhicitta, the first line it says Lelin Thamji Chiglada. That means all the blames go to one thing. Put all the blame in one place. Or in other words, all the blames goes to one. All the blames goes to one. All the blames goes to one. Goes to one means which one? Huh? Like all sentient beings encounter a lot of problems, difficulties that we do not want. So when you get all these problems and difficulties, to whom you should blame? Ordinarily what we do? Because of him. Because of this lady. Things like that. But this text says, no, blame, all the blames go to one. That is self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing attitude. This concern for oneself, this obsession with oneself is at the core of all our problems. Shantideva in his Bodhicharavatara says, all the harms that you see in this world, all the fears and sufferings that you see in this world, all this arises from this great ghost, the ghost of self-cherishing attitude. And not only that, this self-grasping, all kind of negative emotions, including self-cherishing attitude, they all arise from this self-grasping. And the harms that is done by self-grasping is really, really a great harm. Not for one lifetime, but for many lifetimes. So the harms that they do, if we receive some harm from some other people, it may be for a short time. But the harms that is done by this self-grasping is a big harm, great damage for a long, long time. They have been your enemy for a long, long time. And this enemy, where is this enemy now? This enemy, the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, particularly the self-grasping, your sworn enemy that has been harming you for a long, long time, for many lives. Where is this self-grasping now? Huh? This self-grasping is now in the headquarters of your mind. It's here already. If the capital of a country is already seized by the enemy, then is this a big problem or small problem? Huh? It's a big problem. If the capital city of any country is already captured by the enemy, then more or less that country is lost. More or less. So similarly, right now, the headquarters of our mind is already captured by the two ghosts, the self-grasping and self-cherishing. They are already in the headquarters of our mind, meaning that you have that. Not only you have self-grasping and self-cherishing, but is there anybody who is challenging their rule? Anybody challenging the rule? Nobody challenging their rule. Because ordinary people think self-grasping is a part of my nature. Self-cherishing is a part of my nature. And all these afflictive emotions are part of my nature. They can come and go as they like. The doors and windows are open 24 hours. There's no security, nothing. So all these afflictive emotions are there, coming and going, and you have no idea who is coming, who is not coming, what destruction is being done. You have really no idea. So now you can see the situation of yourself. If you are totally controlled, captured by this host of negative emotions, including self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude, they already captured the headquarters of your mind. Not only that, they are just relaxing, because nobody is challenging. They are relaxing, having a nice cup of tea, sitting there. You have a big problem now. So by doing this practice, what are we doing now? Now we are saying, enough is enough. You stupid self-grasping, you stupid self-cherishing attitude, and the host of negative emotions, you dreadful, destructive negative emotions. Gone are the days when you befooled me, gone are the days when you cheated me, gone are the days when you destroyed my peace and happiness. Now I know who you are. That's called practice. Now I know who you are, self-grasping. Now I know who you are, self-cherishing attitude. Now I know the rest of the afflictive emotions. So now, gone are the days when you bullied me. Now I know. Now you have no free entertainment in the headquarters of my mind. Now I already put a security guard. So they will not let you come inside my head. So what I'm trying to do is, as many of these great teachers have done, what I'm trying to do is personify these negative emotions. Personify these negative emotions. Personify these negative emotions. And then now you have to, this is called practice. Now you have to make a promise saying that I will identify as and when they are coming, when they are arising in my mind. Self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude, anger, jealousy, hatred. As and when they arise, you need to immediately capture them. As and when they raise their ugly head, you need to puncture them. Crush their ugly head. Because now you have seen their destructiveness. Still, of course, your defense line is very weak still. It is possible that without being noticed by the security guard, they might go in. Still, it is possible. But at least you are trying to stop them. On many occasions, you are successful in stopping them. You don't get angry, you don't get jealous, don't develop self-grasping, don't develop self-cherishing attitude. It's many times. So gradually, your defense mechanism will become stronger, and there will be then less visiting of these negative emotions. So you are trying to do away with these negative emotions. Contrarily, with the positive emotions, like loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, patience. When they are coming, what you should say? You should tell them, I'm really sorry. Until now I did not recognize your importance, but I learned that you are such a wonderful gentleman and gentlewoman, So please come, have a nice cup of tea. If possible, stay in the headquarters of my mind. Okay? That's called practice. It's like election. It's like election. If a bad leader is ruling your country for a long time and didn't repair the road, didn't look after the environment, everything is in shambles, then what you do? I am not going to wait for you. I am not going to elect you next time. We are going to defeat you next time. That's what we do. Exactly like that. Election is taking place. Until now, the negative party, the party of negative emotions, got a landslide majority. Therefore, they are comfortably, without any hesitation, ruling us. Now you have seen that all they have done during their rule is bringing disease, sickness, fight, hostility, hatred, anger. You've seen all this. Now you are saying, you will no more be elected. Now we elect the good party, which consists of loving kindness, compassion, and so forth, and whose leaders are, with this positive emotion party, who are the two main leaders? What? sorry, yeah. No problem. Slip of the tongue, no problem. So the leaders, main leaders are wisdom, understanding, emptiness, as I said, conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. With their leadership, then you will also invite all the members of the party, loving kindness, compassion, patience, forgiving, and other host of positive emotions. So replacing these negative emotions with the positive emotions, transforming your mind, changing your mind, that is called Dharma practice. Tibetan word is Chö. Chekawa Lhakdor. Chö means change, transform. In this way, if you are transforming your negative minds to the positive, you are doing Dharma practice. If you are not doing that, doesn't matter how many times you visit temple, how many times you go to see His Holiness and other great teachers, it will have not much effect, little bit, not much. The Buddha himself has clearly told to somebody, actually there's a story of a very sick person, a bhikshu who was a very nice bhikshu and very sick. And he could not go to see the Buddha. It's a very moving story. He could not go to see. He was bedridden and very sick. And then he sends one of his, another monk friend, and he said, can you please go to Buddha and pay my respect to him? Imagine. When your mind is there, you don't have to be there personally and physically. Can you please go and pay my respect to him? And then this monk goes and pays respect to the Buddha. And as soon as the Buddha hears about this bedridden, very elderly bhikshu, then the Buddha asks Ananda and all the other, important retinues with him, say, let us go and see this elderly bhikshu. And they all go to see this elderly bhikshu. Like that, you see. And then on a second round, this monk, now about to die, he requests to send somebody again to get a message, a short teaching from the Buddha. And when this person, in those days there's no tape recorder, but it's a verbal message. So when this monk comes back with this verbal message, and was about to deliver this verbal message, this old, sick, bedridden monk, he says, no, I can't receive this very holy message just sitting on this high bed, high throne, Let me go down. So he makes every effort to just go down and sit on the ground and then hear the message. So much respect, you see, so much respect. Like that. So what I'm trying to say is, it's your mind. And my main point is what the Buddha, when he met the Buddha, then the Buddha said, now do you have any regret in your life? Then this elderly monk, he says, yes, I have one regret. What is the regret? Did you break some vows, some rules, monastic rules? If you did that, then it's not very good. No, he said, no, I practice all the rules, monastic vows, I have no regret, nothing. Then what is the regret? The regret is I could not see you until now. I could not receive your teachings before. I could not see you before many times. He said, no, that's my main point. Then he said, no, seeing the face is not seeing the Buddha. Listening to his teaching and remembering those teachings is actual seeing of the Buddha. So most of us just go to see the person and never practice the teaching, you see. There is a quotation in the sutra itself where it says, one who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. One who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. And I think I've told you earlier also that when the Buddha was on the deathbed, he was passing away. And then the monks, his followers, they cried and wept and then said, if you're gone, it's like the sun being gone. There will be total darkness in the world. What should we be doing? Please appoint somebody as your representative. Buddha did not appoint any person as his representative. He said, after I am gone, my teaching is my representative. So that's the thing. So teaching, to practice, to understand the teaching and practice the teaching is the most important thing. So the one to whom you should place all your blame is self-grasping. Clear? Likewise, it could also be referred to the self-cherishing attitude, because all the problems that you get is primarily because deep down your heart you have this obsession with oneself. What will happen to me? What will happen to me? What will happen to me? This constant worry about oneself. We fear death. Why do we fear death? We fear death because of this obsession to the self. When I die, I will be gone. So what? You see? If you understand that properly, then there's not much reason to fear. You see? Not much to fear. In terms of your body, which one is your body? According to the scientific finding, your whole body goes a complete change just within, I think, few days. In terms of the cells and other things, it's like a bubbling energy. There's nothing called body which is so concrete as we ordinarily see, because our naked eye can't see much. If you take a big powerful microscope and look at you will just this hand, if you look at right now to our ordinary naked eye, it looks okay. But you use a big microscope, powerful microscope, look at it, this is not smooth or good like as we think. It's like mountains and valleys. It's full of pores and holes, ups and downs, and then inside, you see everything. There's hardly anything. It's just like a bubbling energy. So, see, so if you understand this, then having attachment to one's body is really like having attachment to a bubble. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. We talk about this, again we develop the same attachment, But the more and more you understand it, the more and more you will be able to take care of yourself. It's not simply to frighten you. Because if you are able to see that all the internal organs are very sensitive, very fragile, then next time you take the food, you will be careful, you see. When we don't understand this, then we think, whatever I put in my mouth should be okay. Khata mita sabdalo, like you put sour, sweet, whatever. Whole lot of things, because just to please the tongue, you put everything inside. As if everything will be okay. It's not okay. You get food poisoned. You get sick all the time because you are not good in taking care of your body, even on that level. But if you think carefully, now due to the scientific, instruments and discoveries, now you can see inside and out how things are functioning. Look at your lung, which does the breathing, how fragile it is. Look at your, heart, how fragile it is. The blood pumping, air pumping, whatever they are doing, Imagine, you see. So you can't, if you see this fragility, then you will be able to take care of it. You see? This is something that you see at the airport all the time. Whichever is fragile, they will peg it nicely, and again they peg it nicely, then they write a label there, fragile, handle carefully. Because they know it's fragile. So therefore they have to peg it nicely, number one. Number two, they also have to write this label, fragile, handle carefully. So they peg it nicely. So look at us now, we are also pegged nicely. All the fragile things are inside, the intestine, the lungs and the heart, everything, all the fragile things are inside. Then you put the ribs and the bones, then it's plastered with the flesh, then again finally covered with the skin. Skin also, there are two layers of skin, you see, dermis and epidermis. So that shows, the way it is pegged shows it is fragile. In Buddhism we call it impermanence, meaning fragile. So I'm sometimes tempted to put a placard on our neck saying, fragile, handle me carefully. You see? Okay? So at least you should take care of yourself properly, you see. So you can now see the benefit of this teaching, you see. The more you understand this fragility, this impermanent nature, the more you will be able to take care of yourself, the more you will be sensitive to other people's need, the more you will be able to take care of others, as I've given you the example of the 3 criminals. When you don't understand this, then you start thinking, forget about impermanence, You think I'm permanent. I'm not subject to death and destruction. Especially if you label them, this person is a very brave hero, you will get so mad that you don't hesitate to jump in front of a missile. That's what we do in the war. If you just give them the label, stupid as we are, you just praise him and say he is a hero, Then he thinks he is a hero and goes in front of the missile, a bomb. Of course he will be killed. You see? So this is how we go after death and destruction unnecessarily because of stupidity, because of ignorance. So not only for higher practices, but even for our life, it's very, very important. So put the blame into one thing and meditate on the great kindness of all beings, the food you eat, the clothing that you have, everything, good things that you get, is not something that you obtain because you are so clever. Okay? They are there because of the direct and indirect help of countless sentient beings. So in short, Shantideva says, if you still did not understand the differences between self-cherishing attitude and the mind that cherishes others, or bodhicitta, then Shantideva says, then you compare yourself with the Buddha. Buddha practiced bodhicitta for countless eons. So you say, where is he now? We practice self-cherishing attitude for countless eons. So where are we today? In our case, we are not able to take proper care of oneself. In the case of Buddha, still millions of people get benefit from his life's example, from his teaching and so forth. So that is the difference between practicing self-cherishing attitude and practicing bodhicitta. Okay, we stop here.